So what's up everybody, this is going to be my Black Clover 357 review. This chapter was very interesting. Someone put a comment and I think about it. This chapter basically is the slogan, nobody likes a rapper until they die. That's basically what just happened here. Nobody really liked Jack, and then when Jack actually died, people started valuing him as a character. I mean, he's still not my favorite character. I still wouldn't consider him a character that I really like, but you respected him because he died with honor. He literally did one final attack and he was able to cut two different angels. If you see in one of the panels, there was two different angels that he cut, and it was very interesting because you don't really think of these things when you're reading the chapter. Like, 𝚲𝚘𝚎 made us actually care about this character in this chapter. Moving forward is going to be very interesting because I definitely think we're going to have a bloodbath coming up soon, so we're probably going to see a lot of death scenes from many of the characters. So I wonder how emotional those scenes will get, but this was somewhat emotional chapter. You know, I enjoyed it. So let's get into my Black Clover 357 review. First of all, if you like anime, manga reviews, discussion, spoilers, and theories, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, so you should win some false copyright strikes. So let's get this channel back to 5,000. I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. So this chapter begins right where 356 left off. The difference is that now Yuno actually tried to do his attack, and it landed, but not landed in the way that he would like. Lucius basically grabbed it by his fingers. He stopped the attack. Thinking about it, it makes sense because Lucius does have Lucifer's heart, at least half of his heart, for one of his sides, but then also he has the power of the other side of Lucifer that was still in the underworld. So that means that Lucius basically has the power of 100% Lucifer. So he has Lucifer's power, plus he has Astaroth's power, and he has the power of this like divine nature where he's basically trying to be God. He is super OP. So it makes sense at this point that when Yuno is about to attack him, he stops it. Everybody's been saying this chapter was making Yuno seem bad, but reality is just common sense. Yuno is not at that level yet. No matter how powerful Yuno have gotten, Asta and Yuno are always compared as rivals. Asta literally was left dead by Lucius at the beginning of this arc, so it makes sense that Yuno, the same thing will happen to him, if not him turning into a paladin. I know a lot of people are not liking Yuno turning into a paladin, but let's be real. I think that's what's gonna happen. I mean, Yuno and the whole saint stage stuff has to do with divinity. I wouldn't be surprised if Yuno turns into a paladin. Maybe he dies, maybe he doesn't. I'm not entirely sure, but it could be that Yuno escapes. However, it's Yuno's turn to take that L. So it makes sense that Yuno is not at that level yet, because I think Judgment Day, it's just basically going to be a whole day of slaughter. But the difference is, I think the battle to fight Lucius is going to take more than a day. It could take a day, you never know, because that whole war with Lucifer was a whole entire day, or like a day and a half. I think there's a lot more context to the story, and this chapter, in my opinion, proved it, because Yuno is just not there. We know that Yuno at least has to help Asta defeat Lucius, if not be a helping hand, because he was a helping hand against Lucifer. So I wouldn't be surprised if Yuno helps out Asta and that final showdown between Asta and Lucius. I'm just going with the theme of Black Clover, and then after that probably we're gonna get like a Yuno versus Asta, but in a friendly way to become the next Wizard King. Or it could be Yuno gets defeated and then something similar to what happened to Ryu, where his rival just accepted that he should be the Shogun. It could be the same way that Yuno looks at Asta, just accepts that Asta should be the Wizard King. So that's probably where we're heading. Another thing about this chapter is that I really enjoyed how you feel towards Jack. I was really not liking him as a character. Everybody knows I talk shit about him so many times, but what I liked about this chapter is that it made us feel emotional to a character I didn't like. Most of us didn't like, actually, to be quite fair. I said this before at the intro, but it does remind me of that saying that nobody likes a rapper until they actually die, and this chapter kind of proved that. Like, we saw the good things that Jack was, even though he's based on Jack the Ripper, the maniac of London, but he is a person that has honor, and we saw that he didn't want to be held by Yami. Even on death's door, he saw Yami as a rival, as a goal to surpass. He didn't want help from him. He didn't want to be considered less than, and seeing that about Jack really gave me respect towards him, especially that he did that one final blow. He's like, if I die, I'm going out with a bang, and that's what he did. He went out with a bang, and I really respect that, because knowing that he's basically a commoner, he's just one level above a peasant. There's royals, nobles, commoners, and peasants. And then Yami's that outsider. He's like that foreigner. So technically he could be just as level as peasants, but then he can also be a noble. It depends, because you know how foreigners, they can basically move around the social class. However, Jack, we learn how he became a captain. It's a good way for him to die. I'm really excited as to what happens moving forward, because we know that Mariona, especially at the end, is going to have an issue coming up soon, because I think she's a goner. This chapter is a great setup for the following chapter, because the following chapter is the last chapter of the volume. It's going to be crazy. I think everybody is going to get wiped out in the next chapter, and this chapter set it up. I was expecting Yuno to have his moment of shine, and then towards the end everything started falling apart, but Tabata gave Yuno time to shine last chapter. He's like, yeah, Yuno had time to shine, he got strong, but still there's levels to this, and it makes sense. This is the final villain in Black Clover, or at least the final villain for now. Maybe there might be another villain in the future, we never know, but this is the final villain for right now, and it makes sense that this guy is going to be super overpowered. This guy, he has Lucifero, Astaroth, and other devils from the Tree of Qliphoth. I mean, there's a reason why they're following his order. Obviously, he can gain them, have more power, and I think there might be a holy war coming up soon, but regardless of that, this chapter really did let us know that there's more to the story. There is a lot more content to come, and I think that if Yuno does survive, he has to level up, because there's nothing that they can do at this point. And the only person that can help out, obviously, is Asta, but he has a weakness towards physical attacks, and with 𝚲𝚙𝚅 is most definitely going to help him out. But this chapter was an eye-opening for me, and it was an eye-opening for the fandom. Black Clover is ending, but there's still ways to go. We know that Asta has to arrive. We know that there's has to be something where Asta comes in, but it's not going to be here. Asta is not going to just appear out of nowhere, in my opinion. I think everybody's going to take a big beating, and Asta is going to come after everybody's been taking a big beating and possibly turn into paladins. Expect the unexpected for next chapter, because this chapter set up everything to have the next chapter become bloodbath. This chapter did explain that Yuno is using extreme magic that takes a lot of mana. Yuno isn't made of infinite mana, so you know Yuno's gonna have a problem coming up very soon. You know, one thing I also liked is that how even though Yami is facing Morgan, Morgan's personality still showed through the cracks, and here's why. When Yami said, "You're not the Morgan that I knew," to this paladin Morgan, Morgan said, "It's sad that you guys have to die, but the good thing is that you're going to be reborn and you will be happy." Right then and there, that shows that Morgan is still in there somewhere. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Yami is going to take the L here. I think he's going to turn into a paladin. I know a lot of you guys in the comments aren't liking it, but it's most likely going to happen. I think this chapter, Black Clover 357, set that up. Yami most likely is going to turn into a paladin coming up soon, and it's because of Morgan's hands. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Morgan have some cracks. In my opinion, this chapter is already showing those cracks, because it's showing that Morgan still doesn't want people to die, because he wasn't somebody that liked violence and hurting people. He was very, what his magical attribute was, light. He was just a pure light. Even though right now he's being used by Lucius, he still has light attribute, but it'll be very interesting if we see like a demonic light, but because he's paladin, somewhat of an angel, or at least a fallen angel, it's probably going to stay a normal light. However, you see that he is still him in this chapter, so we're probably going to see a crack coming up soon when he actually takes down Yami. And I'm saying, look at the captains. The captains are losing arms. William Vengeance just lost an arm last chapter. Now Mariona lost the arm. It's just a given, and these are ultimate setup fights for people in the future, because think about this. We're seeing setup fights for Yami. Yami will be a perfect setup fight for Ichiga. Paladin Yami versus Ichiga, and then not versus Morgan. That'd be the perfect battle. So I think this chapter is leading us to the next chapter being a really epic L. So I'm excited to see what's coming up next, but also worried because I don't want to be that emotional. Also, one thing I did notice, I thought it was a little bit strange. You know how Morris has these hands? I thought Morris, when he touches people, they become paladins. Something similar to what Lucius did to the nun that raised Asta, Sister Lily. This is going to be an interesting one. It looks like Morris, when he touches people, they disintegrate. At least what he touches can disintegrate. So I wonder what devil is possessing him. Also, what happened to 𝚲𝚙𝚅? Shouldn't 𝚲𝚘𝚅 be around here? You know, that makes me think, is 𝚲𝚘𝚅 gonna show up in his purified form? It'd be very interesting to see a purified devil, like in actuality how they look, not people being possessed by them. But yes, that's basically all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this chapter. Let me know what you think about this video. How do you feel about Jack dying? Do you feel that Jack dying was good? Did you get emotional? Did you start to respect respecting him more as a character? Do you think Morgan is gonna start showing cracks in his personality, especially now that he's gonna start fighting Yami? Do you think that the captains are gonna escape somehow? I know a lot of people are saying that Asta is gonna appear out of nowhere, but I don't think that's the case. I think Asta is gonna take some time before he actually gets there, unless somehow we get like a flashback as to what happened between Judgment Day and Asta training. There was like 3 days of him training or so to learn 𝚲𝚘𝚙𝚅. Who do you think is possessing Morris? How do you think devils will look like once they're purified? Do you think that they look something similar to how Lucius looks, but just slightly more less human and more demonic? Like if you liked the video, comment, subscribe, and I'm out of here.